Good evening, gentlemen. Can you hear me well? Voice is clear for you?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good evening. How are you, gentlemen?
Very good.
Good. Hope you will enjoy with us. We are going for our webinar introduction about the construction site management and interesting topics, how to manage the site during construction stage. We are here from Green International. We'll give you this webinar. I'm Mohammed El-Zaini. I have almost 30 years experience, different from construction and the design background. Have a PMP certificates and lead certificates for the professional accreditation, for the building design and the construction, and other certificates which might not be related to the construction stage. I worked from different topics, starting from construction and consultancy and the project management for the construction. And we'll give you today the introduction and the brief about the construction site management and how to manage the site during the construction stage in a very successful way. If we are going for the topic of the management for the construction, so the best to have to talk about our side at consultancy or construction supervision consultants, and we'll give you the topics, what will be the interested task for each one within the construction management team as a consultant or supervision consultant. And the same definitely will be vice versa if you are the contractor, how to manage your construction site. The time for us will be a little bit limited. We have almost 2 hours to talk about it. And the topic, it's very interesting. It will take from us not less than 15 to 20 hours to talk about it in details. I will try to be a little bit focused and summarized about the topics, the main points and the focal points for the construction management, for the site construction management, to give you the brief and getting the interest for you, what you have to do it, and what will be the ways and the technologies and the procedures and the approaches to manage the site one by one in a brief. And we'll jump from one area to another. If you have any questions, please feel free to disturb me and stopping me for the discussion. It's open discussions for us to go through it. Otherwise, I will continue for the presentation and giving you 20 or 30 minutes at the end to the questions. So let us start about the topics. If you allow me, I will stop the video for the broadcast and the internet to have good resolutions and the speeds of the internet. So I will stop sharing the video and we will go for the presentations itself. Is it clear, the presentation, the screen? You can see it, gentlemen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's good. I will try for this presentation not to show many text, and we'll leave it mainly for the discussions and giving you the brief about it, not going in details for the text and many wording and writing on the slides. It will be mainly for the explanation and the topic about it. For the construction side, it is the main objective, the principle for the project management. I don't know if you any of you have a certificates for the project management, that like the PMP or a Prince 2. Anyone with the attendees have a certificates for the project management, or have reading or applying in project management roles? For this one, we'll talk about it, the construction management as a project, which is almost in line with the project management professional, the PMP, for the topics, how it is presented, but we'll go for the real practical and the cases one by one. The most interesting thing for the construction management to manage your site within a time frame to achieve your target goals for the project within the actual time decided from the project as per the schedule, covering all the project requirements and meeting the requirements for the client which you are making. So this is the main successful point for you. And definitely, in addition to cover all the scope of work, covering the project within the time allowed and the time frame, there will be another challenging how to manage all of this one within the allocated budget for you and make it as a profitable project for your organization. So this is the 3 triangles where you are as a project manager. You are trying to manage it and playing with all of these 3 factors, meeting the requirements, the scope of work, and the quality within the time, within the budget. And the most important for you to make it that you are not allowing any additional scope, any additional requirements coming from any of the stakeholders to increase and changing the scope for you as a project manager. This one from the project perspectives as well. But how to manage the construction at the end? Construction for the site. The main player for the construction is the contractor, the main contractor. And the main contractor, he is a civil contractor, taking care of the civil work and the architect, and having the subcontractors depending on the activities for the site. Subcontractor for the MEP, subcontractor for the landscaping, subcontractor for the facade, subcontractor for the irrigation, subcontractor for the fit outs, etc. And you have the employer and the owner for the project, allocating the requirements for the project and financing the project as well. And the employer will be the end user and the customer to hand over your project for him. You have another player with you is the local authorities, which you have to meet the local authorities and satisfying the requirements as per the standards and meeting the local requirements. Within Qatar here, you have local requirements for the municipality, you have local requirements for Kahrama, for the civil defense, for the MOI, for telecommunication and Uridu, for transportation, authorities, communication as well. So you have many authorities which you have to fulfill the requirements and satisfying the requirements for this one during construction and to hand over your project. And the main contractor, he is the one has the ownership for the site during the construction. He is the owner for the site during construction, but on the top you have the supervision consultant, which is supervising the main contractor and monitoring the main contractor, how he is working and how he is performing the activities within the construction, meeting the requirements, meeting the specification as per the contractor scope of work, verifying the invoices for the contractor every month, assuring that the main contractor applying the health and the safety and the environmental condition to protect all the employers, assuring that the main contractor is fulfilling the requirements for the environment and the pollution prevention during the construction site, the construction stage, for the water pollution or the air pollution or sedimentations, which will be required as per the GSAS and the lead requirements as well. And most of the project, they are fulfilling the requirements for the lead and GSAS as a certificate. Another part during the construction, from this one, we are taking just a brief about each topic and we'll go in details. about the materials, managing the material on site, the delivery of the material, storage for the material, security and safety for the environment and the health for the material, handing over and maneuvering the material from the landing areas and the storage, and moving the material, especially for the heavy material, how to move it for the site. If you have heavy equipment like chillers, generators, transformers, air handling units, etc., how to move it within a security and a safe way for maneuvering, which will be related to the health and safety procedures. In addition, for the key player with you is the staff working with you, the stakeholders, how to communicate with them, improving the communication with the staff, enhance the communication and creating a healthy environment for the people working, cooperation as a teamwork, maintaining the relation and the communication between the staff of the contractor and the supplier and the consultant, supervision and the client in a proper communication way, which is difficult to deal with all of the people and the communication with the people with different background and different interests. It will be another topics. We will talk about the communication and how to deal with them. One of the main factors for you to consider what will be the risk might be facing the project itself. One of the risks, which is underperformance in-house staff, quality and the performance of the staff, how to manage it, and how to take care with this one. So it will be another one of the risks. I'm listing here around 6 kinds of risk, but it is not in this limited only. It is just as an example for you to see what will be the risk we might face it. Performance for the in-house staff and how to manage it, how to evaluate it. So first of all, if you are the project manager and start mobilizing, before you mobilize your staff and going for the site, you have to know who will be your staff working under your umbrella within the site. Is it in-house staff or you are going to hire some staff outside? Evaluating the staff performance and evaluating their qualification capability. It will be one of the points, because the success of the project, it is depending on the success and understanding of the team. If the team, they do not understand exactly what is their role and their task within the project, it will not be successful teamwork. How to control it, how to take over about this kind of risk, as an example for in-house staff working with you. So first of all, you have to identify what will be the key players as per the organization, a chart, you have it. What will be the qualification required for this staff, the competition, the certificates and the experience, communicating with the HR department to hire the staff, or mobilizing the staff from one of the projects within your organization to your site, depending on the availability and the calendar availability for this staff and how they are meeting the requirements of the project. Not only this one, but just having the staff on board, you have to monitor their progress and having key performance index, KPI, for all the staff to record their achievement, which means that you have to be very careful to assign the task for each of the staff and monitoring his achievement for the goal within the time with the appropriate quality as required. So this one, it's not only his responsibility, but it is another responsibility for the project manager to control the performance of his staff and evaluating. The same, it might happen for the workers teams and the subcontractors. So the same, you have to should be evaluated for the subcontractors performance as per the contract requirements, recording the achievement and the quality of his product. Subcontractor could be working under you for a dedicated task. It should be clearly indicated within his contract what will be the quality requirements and what will be the measurement, how to measure the performance and the quality for your subcontractors. It is a risk to have subcontractors. Yes, it is, but it could be one of the options for you if you cannot do all the job yourself, how to monitor and performing the contractors under you, in addition to the suppliers. And one of the key factors, having subcontractors, it's a rule we call it make it or buy it. Either to make it and make all the job and all the activities, all the scope of work within your organization with your own staff, or you have to buy it, which means that you have to go with a subcontractor and hire the subcontractor to take some of the responsibilities and the part of the work with you. Another risk could be the damage or losses of the materials and the equipment, which means that we have to enhance the safety procedures and the security and the protection for the materials and the moving for the materials during the construction. Not only this one, but also once you completed part of the work, how to protect the work, completed work, and maintain it. Not completing the work, and by construction activities, there might be some damage for the work which you have completed or the equipment. Okay. And many other risks during the construction, it might be happened. Just we take some examples and let us go further for others. So going for the construction, there will be many constraints and many activities and the area which you have to play and working with this one. As we mentioned, sample of this one, the labors, transportation, government, contract, environment, health and safety. In addition, some commercial aspects regarding the taxes, currency exchange, expenses for the governments, for the applications, etc. Setting up the site during construction and how it is working. One of the main key players for this one, he is a construction engineer or the chief engineer, or some organizations, you call it resident engineer. He is the one responsible for the construction and running the site and performing all the construction activities as well. He is the one in charge for the project. Could be the construction engineer or chief engineer or resident engineer from supervision consultant. Could be the construction engineer and the site construction manager from contractor side. For each role within the organization, having a different responsibilities and a different vision how to manage the site. Let us take it from the side of construction supervision consultancy. What will be the role for the resident engineer or construction engineer from the supervision consultant, and what will be his role and his interest and responsibilities? He will be the first one and the point of contact, communicating with the contractor. He will be the one responsible for monitoring the work of the contractor, and meaning monitoring the work of the contractor if it is according to the project schedule, according to the scope of work, running within the budget, monitoring the quality of the work, definitely with the assistance for all his staff, specialist staff, and the persons around, but he will be the ultimate one responsible about the success of the project, and he will be the contact, one of the key players in contact directly and giving the instruction for the contractors. He will be the one responsible to certify any kind of changes. If there is any change request or variation order, might be raised from contractors, might be raised from the client, who will be the one responsible to performing this and certifying the change request with the committee change request board, getting their advice. Once the change request is approved, he will be the one responsible to perform this one and assuring it is implemented on site, working with the contractor to evaluate and assess what will be the impact in the time and the cost as well. In addition to this one, as a contractor, invoicing every month or every 2 months invoices, he has to certify the invoice. So the certification for the invoice, it's another process. Certify the invoices, it will require working from different departments within the construction. Certify the invoice, it should be linked with the inspection request. Whatever inspection request the contractor raised, getting certified, so the contractor will be entitled to get paid for the construction he already completed. Certifying the material the contractor delivered, if it is accepted material as per the specification, as per the approved material submittals. Contractor to raise the MIR, material inspection request, to validate and certifying the delivery of the materials. Supervision consultant have to certify the payments as per the contract. And the type of contract, it could be different type of the contracts. It's another story, we'll talk about it. It's not really related to the construction management, site management. But to have an idea, the type of contract, it is different from fixed price as a lump sum, or remeasurable, or cost plus. So fixed fees, or remeasurable, or cost plus, or time against and material contract, T&M, depending on the material delivery. Different type of the contracts, it is there. So we have to certify the payment for the contractor as per the contract requirements. Documenting all the paperwork and the communication with the contractors, especially for all the letters, request for information, communication, which will affect the payment, the contract obligation, it has to be recorded. Construction supervision, construction engineer will be also responsible about the quality, to monitor the quality of the work. And carefully, we are saying to monitor the quality of the work. He's not the one to just to assess and assuring about the quality, how it is meeting, or the testing. There is definitely another team for the testing and the quality, QA, QC engineers, but he will be responsible for monitoring the quality, and if the quality is meeting the project requirements, and if it is exceeding the limits and the margins for the accepted quality limits for each topic. He has to be responsible for this one. Any non-conformance for the work, issuing NCRs for the contractors for non-conformance, non-conformance due to the quality or working without safety, violating the requirements of the contract from the technical point of view or from the safety or from procedures. All of this one, it is non-conformance and should be raised as a non-conformance report for the contractors. The chief engineer is responsible to assure that the contractor has a minimum NCRs as he is applying the safety and the procedures and following the shop drawing, specifications, etc., to minimize the NCRs. And if there is any NCR is raised, his responsibility to follow the contractor to close the NCR ASAP. Safety for the work, it's one of the important topics, should be covered and be carefully handled with the number of safety engineers. Safety engineers should be more than, as a percentage, 1 to 50, having safety officers and supervisors as well. So he is not the construction engineer, not acting like a policeman, but also he has to give advice, guidance, assistance for the contractors and for the staff about the procedures to be followed. Having the work on site and going for the progress should have a periodical review for the work, for the performance of the work and evaluate the achievement of the project for the work, which we call it SPI, Schedule Performance Index, or CPI, Cost Performance Index, indicating as index to give you an indication about the project performance according to the cost and the budget allocated and according to the schedules. So the construction engineer should have a reporting monthly, average, or usually we are making the monthly reports, which giving the indication and the performance for the project, how it is working. So reports, it will be one of the topics we'll talk about it. How to maintain the reports and making the reports for the project to reflect the actual site conditions, how we are meeting the schedule, meeting the budget, and how will be the forecasting plan. If there is any slippage, what will be the mitigation plans and the recovery plan, how we are going to close out the project. It's another topic for the reporting, which will be a tool for the construction engineers to monitor and manage the site and giving a proper indication about the performance for the site. Another tool to control the construction and the performance of the project, not only the reporting, but should have a log for all the submittals, log for all the deliverables, log for all the accidents and the events, log for the issues like issue log, raising the concerns if there is any risk, or the risk register, log for all the NCRs, log for the payments, log, for example, for the workshops. If you have any workshops, how to maintain it, how to control it, how to keep this kind of work of shop drawings and the trackers, your achievement, your completion, etc. So the logs, it's a very useful tools During the construction, in many cases and events, the contractor might raise questions for the consultant designer or supervision consultant to reply for him, which we call it request for information, the RFIs. Initiated from the contractor to the consultant to get an understanding, clarification, advice, answering for him. So one of the responsibility for the construction engineer to have a log for the RFI and assuring that all the RFIs have been answered for the contractor to allow him moving for the site and get a clear understanding, get a clear direction and advice what should be processed. And definitely, construction engineers should have monitoring the performance of the testing during the construction to assure about the quality and the performance from the contractors to maintain the quality and control it, having a log for testing reports and the inspection request, the result for the inspection request, how many failed from the first time, how many passed from the first time, which will give the indication about the quality and the controlling from the main contractor, how it is performing, how they are applying the quality procedures and the quality control. And at the end, he has to certify the monthly payment for the contractors. Another topic for the responsibility for the construction engineer, not only related to the construction, but to assure about the communication and the environment between the staff, among the staff of the construction as a contractors, among the staff of the contractors and the supervision consultant and subcontractors and the client as well. We will talk about it in detail once we go for the communication protocol and the communities within the site activities. Let us go for another key player, who will be the inspector. Construction inspector. And the construction inspector, from the consultant supervision, who will be verifying and assuring that the contractor is performing and applying the quality control. He's performing and executing exactly as per the specs requirements, as per the shop drawings, checking the material and inspecting and testing the performance for the installation and work activities accordingly. Construction inspectors, he's covering all the disciplines, having construction inspector from the civil engineers, from mechanical, from architect, from landscaping. Everyone from these inspectors should inspect the work and performing the test requirements. To allow the inspector doing his work, what will be the task from the contractors to do it? And what will be the task of the inspectors himself? An inspector mainly is responsible to assure that the quality and the contractor is doing exactly as we mentioned, as per the specification, as per the shop drawing, installing the material and deliver the material as the approved material submittals, etc. To allow him doing his job, so the contractor, when he completed installation and execution for the part of the work, he has to raise an inspection request, requesting supervision consultant to come and checking the work and the performing and assessing the completion of the work and certify this work, it is installed and completed. So contractor should attach for the inspection of work, layout plan for the work which was going to be inspected, showing the shop drawings, and it definitely should be a approved shop drawing. Otherwise, the work will not be performing as required. So it has to be attaching approved shop drawing, highlighting if there is any changing within the construction, different or deviating from the shop drawing itself, due to site condition, coordination, modification happening during the execution of the work, deviated from the shop drawing, the contractor should highlight it in a red mark on the shop drawing attached to the inspection request. And the construction inspector should inspect as per the red mark drawings indicated on the shop drawings, the submitted shop drawings. And this is very important tools for many areas. Number one, the approved inspection request, it will be the tools for the contractor to raise the payment, and will be the tool and assess for the supervision consultant to verify and approve the payment and the certificate for the contractor. So this is one part. The second part of the importance for this inspection request and the red mark drawing will be useful for the contractor to create and maintain the as-built drawing when he is completing the project and handing over the project for the client. So the as-built drawing activity as an activity, it has to be started from day one of the project, started as an activity to prepare and to compile all the required information to maintain and complete the task for the as-built, starting from day one of the project. Unfortunately, many of the contractors, they ignore this activity till the end of the project, and they start to compile the as-built and red mark after they completed the installation, and most of the activities are covered above the full ceiling, which will be impossible missions for the contractor to create the red mark and the as-built drawing, and consequently will be impossible for the supervision consultant to verify the red mark drawing and the as-built. And that's why many times during our construction, we found it's this activity for the close-out stage of the site after the construction completion to close it and handing over the project for the consultant and the client because of the as-built documentation. So for the inspector to complete his work, he should have a record for the inspection, as we said, log for the inspection request, and having the log for the number of the inspection, how many passed, how many failed. And the construction engineer should know how many inspection requests has been raised every day, and how many of them is passed from the first time, and how many they are rejected and returned it back because of the quality of the work. Let us go for another stage. We'll talk about the starting up the site activity. Which will start by landing the contractor for the site and start arranging his own activity and his own staff to mobilize to the site. Activities for the site to start up the construction. security for the site, building a security fence, surrounding the construction site with a proper security fencing, preparing the land for the construction, cleared from debris, cleared from any obstacles, start preparing the office work, the site office for the contractors, site office for the construction supervision engineers, making a good plan for mobilizing and maneuvering for the vehicles and access for the site, and maintaining more than one access point within the site for in and out for the vehicles, which will give flexibility for the contractors during the construction stages. Having multiple access for the site, at least 2, will allow the contractors to moving the vehicles and the laborers and the staff and the equipment for the construction site. Definitely, it's better than having one side only. Starting up for the construction for the site, it's not only mobilization, it will be dividing the project for packages as procurement strategy, how you are going to make your procurement strategy, and how many subcontractors will be working within the site under the main contractors, and why it is important to have this kind of procurement strategy. For each subcontractor should have his own offices, dedicated area for the staff, dedicated area for the materials, storage, and maneuvering the material. So this is very important point for the contractor to start mobilizing and starting set up for the site to arrange the area, which area will be for the subcontractors, which area will be for the landing, lay down area, storage area, depending on the scope for each contractor, what will be the storage area and the capacity and the security, how many square meter will be required, what will be security and the safety condition should be maintained within the material, like chemical materials or sensitive materials, what will be the security allowed and applied. So all of these figures, all of these constraints or all of these points should be in mind during the start up for the construction as well. How many staff will be allocated from each one, which will facilitate the number of trucks and the buses, the staff, laborers, engineers, etc., the offices, welfares for all of this stuff, canteen, kitchens, etc., how it will be maintained and facilitated for the site. So this is a quick topics, how to set up and starting the construction and moving within the construction. Another topic, what will be the organizational chart and management for the construction? Who will be the construction for the site construction? What will be the organization which will identify the number of staff and the allocated staff for the project? Some of the staff could be supporting from the head office as head office support, and majority of the staff will be allocated within the construction site itself. The organizational chart, there is no standard format for the organizational chart. It is different from company to another. And it is customized depending on the site activities and how the site and the project itself it's working. For a huge project, could be divided in packages. If you have a number of the building, one project having 20 buildings, residential buildings, 20 villas, 20 residential buildings, it is not wise at all to have it under one team. You have to divide it under small packages, 4 packages or 5 packages, each one taking care for 4 or 5 construction areas, villas or buildings, to have a micro control about the activities of the site within the packages. So the organization chart, it's one of the tools to identify the staff, number of the people, and how to manage the construction activities. Who will be responsible for what? How many staff will be allocated on the site, and how many staff will be outside the construction activities and coming as a support from the head office. Starting moving for the site, having the field offices and the facilities. Field offices, it will be a temporary construction like a port cabinets. Normally, it is mobilized and shifted from one project to another, to another, to another. It's a temporary within the construction activities, construction site. Have to manage the number of the site offices depending on the number of the staff required for the site. That's why in the previous slides, we talk about the organization chart. We talk about the number of subcontractors who will be allocated within the site and what will be the facilities available for all of them. Facilities starting from the parking, toilets, welfares, in addition to rest areas for the laborers. So we have to make a planning for the offices, when it will be allocated and where, what is the size, the capacity, the number of staff. Like a construction, it's within the startup area stage of the project. This facility and the organization and the arrangement for the site, it's like a small pilot project for the contractor to start work and establish and set up the facilities within the site itself. And in many cases, having the development for the construction site, contractor start to demolish and move the site offices, the temporary site offices, port cabinets, and shifting the staff within the construction or part of the building which already completed and ready for occupy in parking levels, for example, or mezzanine, to allow the contractor utilizing the area of the offices, the field offices within the site activity to complete landscaping, road access for the project, the permanent access for the project, etc. So these site offices, it's a temporary facility starting within the project, and mostly it will not maintain till the end of the project. Once a contractor have a space available within the construction building itself, many of the cases, the contractor start mobilizing within the permanent building as a temporary arrangement till the completion of the construction and start moving the stuff one by one. Starting the work for the site should be working according to contract specification and the drawings. The drawing started from the consultant as a designer, making the design drawings, which is a conceptual design for the project, identifying the scope and what will be the activities and the services installed as an architect or a structure or mechanical, electrical, security, etc. Having the construction work, the contractor responsibility to develop the design drawing to another kind of drawing, we call it shop drawings. Developing the shop drawing, resolving all the clash between the services, arrange it clash free to help the site team for installation. And the difference between the shop drawing and the design drawing, shop drawing, it's more details and it has to be matching with the actual selected equipment for the contractors and the materials he's going to use it for the finishing, for the retaining walls, for the facades, for the door frames, for the electrical installation, for mechanical installation, all the equipment he submitted a material submittal. So contractor responsibility to implement and show reflecting all of these materials which is approved within the shop drawings he's preparing. The importance for the shop drawing, it will be the tools allowing the contractor for working on site and allowing the inspector engineers to go for the site, monitoring the installation and assuring that installation is working as per the approved drawings. Which means the contractor has to submit all of these shop drawings for the supervision consultants for approval prior the application and the execution work on site. Creation for the shop drawing, it has different stages, and most of the projects now, they are working using the BIM model, Building Information Management, the BIM, many softwares for the BIM. The most famous one is the Revit software. Even the consultant, they are making the design in Revit, 3D model, having all the activities linked together and coordinated. They call it 360 model, and it's available now as a software to work remotely between different satellite offices from the consultant or contractors or subcontractors worldwide, having the 360 model, BIM models, so could be accessed from different areas, not mainly like before in one centralized server within the contractor. The technology now and software development, it is giving all the varieties and allowing the contractors and the consultants to work remotely from different areas and accessing the same model in the same time. The drawings, it has another dimension for the importance, which will allow the contractor making a material take off, the quantities, and making the invoicing at the end of the month for the progress of work. How many linear meters, square meters for the painting, for ceramic tiles, for the false ceilings, what is how many cables, duct work installed, equipment, etc. So the useful for the drawings and the benefits of the drawing is the key execution tools allowing the contractor for execution on the work, measuring the equipment, ordering the material, material takeoff, claiming for the work, and invoicing, etc. In a case of modification, by default, any modification, any change request, starting from the point number 1, going direct for the shop drawings, contractor have to update it and maintaining the clouds for any modifications happens for the drawings. One of the important things for the supervision consultant as a quality control, and definitely it is starting from the contractor himself, to assure that the shop drawings available with the construction team on site is the latest revision of the drawings has been modified and developed. Because we are finding many cases, there is 3 revisions for the shop drawings developed because of XYZ reasons, changing the material, rerouting, coordination, site activities, many reasons. It might result for modification and having different revision for the shop drawings. And we found that the construction team on site, they are working for revision number 1, as if we have revision number 4 from the shop drawings. So it's another area which we have to be careful that the construction team should have and maintaining the latest revision of the drawings. That's why to control it, we should be assuring that the contractors, especially for the construction team, they have the log of the latest shop drawing of the project. In addition, the inspectors himself, for all disciplines, should have a copy of the shop drawing log periodically, weekly, not monthly. Weekly, they should be updated about the shop drawing log and the status for the shop drawing. So the inspector, when he go for the inspection, for the basement level, for example, checking for the lighting layout plans and the conduiting, should be assured that this shop drawing is the latest one produced by the contractor and approved by the consultant. Whenever finding a deviation or finding that all the shop drawing is there, should be notifying for the contractor immediately and replacing the old shop drawing with the current valid shop drawings. Going for execution, following the shop drawings and following the specification, and we completed the work, we have to certify the work and assuring our work is performing well. So we have to apply test, which will be testing for the services. And the test might be during the construction stage, applying the test part by part, or could be once the completion of some services is installed, like in testing a duct work or cable trays or electrical panels after the installation, or could be testing area by area, zone by zone, it depends. The purpose for the test, to assuring the performance of the installation and the equipment and the connectivity as per the design requirements, as per the design intent, as specified in the project specification, meeting the client requirements. Definitely, it has to follow all the applicable standards and the authority requirements as well. To apply the test, it is contractor responsibility to provide all the testing equipment and the tools. And he has to provide a test procedures, method statement for application for the test, indicating the procedures for apply the test, and what will be the expected results, and what will be the the measures and the actual measures, and the site inspectors and consultants have to verify the test. All the tests should be witnessed and monitored by the supervision consultant. Some kind of the test, the contractor himself cannot perform, cannot do it himself. It will request a specialist third party, which we call it testing and commissioning agent, testing for the building or such specific, very special activities for the buildings, like HVAC or electrical or high voltage test, etc. So the test, we said, it could be in-house by the contractor himself, or could be with a third party, a specialist third party, but all the tests should be certified by the engineers, supervision engineers, and witness, and should have a test report attached, should have a log for the test which we conducted, and using this test as a part of the handing over and the completion certificates for the building. Some of these tests, which related to the life safety devices and the civil defense, it will be submitted for the authorities, like the civil defense here in Qatar. They will request to have a copy of the testing and the commissioning for the equipment during construction to be submitted for the authority. The same like Harama, testing for the all panels and the cables, connectivity and voltage measuring for the cables should be submitted for the Kahrama before energization for the panels, etc. So the test is one of the activity very important for the project, not only for the contractor to prove his work, but also required for the construction stage and the handing over and the completion. So the test here, it will be the tools for us to facilitate and the proving and acceptance for the service installation. The difference between testing and inspection. Inspection is witnessing the installation work and the completion during the execution. After you complete the installation, you have to test the installation which you witnessed and inspect if it is performing as well or not. Test mainly for the equipment. For the systems, we cannot make a test for partially, but test it will be mainly for the systems, integrated system. Once you complete a major part of the system installation and the connectivity. Okay. Another task for the construction site, to have all the permits required for the contractors, allowing him to go for inspection for the construction. Mainly the permits within our country, permits for installation and acceptance for the work, which are coming mainly for approval for the design, for the DC1 and the DC2, approvals from MOI, etc. Assuring that the contractor is applying for the life and the safety requirements and following the procedure, getting the clearance from the environmental authorities. Okay. Another topic for the construction, which will be the public relations and having the environment internally within the project. Within all the stakeholders of the project. Maintaining the communication and the good environment, understanding between the different stakeholders of the project, starting from consultants team, contractors, site staff, subcontractors, and suppliers, maintaining all the communication and understanding in a proper way. It will be a point of success for the project itself, and minimizing the abortive work, minimizing the clashes between the people, as all of them, they have the same understanding what will be the achievable for us. Another topic for us will be the subcontractors. Subcontractors, they are your partner for the success of the project. Many of the contractors, they are dealing with the subcontractors and trying to squeezing their part, squeezing the subcontractors, minimizing their profit, taking the most advantage of the subcontractors in an unfair way, which will definitely affecting the project. If the subcontractors doesn't make a profit, it will be a complete failure for the main contractors and the project itself. So having the subcontractors on board, decision for this one, it will be from day one of the project, but even it will be ahead of the mobilization of the project itself. As a supervision consultants or contractors or even a client should have a procurement strategy and the packaging for the construction work, how it will be divided in different batches, how it will be controlled, your project, and who will be your subcontractors. Subcontractors could be successful for you and giving you a help for the project if you maintain the relation with the subcontractors successfully, having a dedicated contract specifying for the subcontractors what exactly will be his responsibility, his scope of work, what will be the limitation between the different subcontractors and the main contractors, the umbrella covering his work, what will be the quality should be applied and the test and the certificates, and how to hand over the work and how to certify his work at the end. Subcontractors agreements, it's a different type of many types of contracts, and the subcontractors might be taking a part of the contract for a limited period, not continuously, for a certain task. So having a successful construction way should identify exactly the subcontractor, scope of work, and the activities, and when the subcontractor activity should start and when it should finish, and how to hand over and receiving the output from the subcontractor itself. So by this one, there is a communication between the subcontractors, main contractors, supervision consultant, a client, suppliers. So all of these parties and the stakeholders, they have to be communicating each other. So how to make the communication, and the communication is the language between all of the stakeholders, how to maintain it and make it successfully. Many of the ways of the communication we can present it. Before we start this one, we should have within the project something we call it communication protocols. Communication protocols, it will be the protocols for all the stakeholders within the project, how they are going to communicate with each other, who has to talk to whom, in which language, identifying the communication language, writing, in writing, speaking, discussions, making the authorities who will be the representative for each department to talk to others, from the contractors who will be the person in charge to talk with the consultant and the subcontractors, etc. So this kind of communication protocols, how to be maintained between all stakeholders of the project. The important for this communication and maintain communication and understanding for all of the stakeholders, so everyone has the same understanding about the project, the topics, the scope, the stage we are, where we are, what will be our next plan, our activity for the next month, what we have achieved, what is our strategy, what will be our goal. Otherwise, everyone will work in his own way, and definitely you will not get any success for the project, because everyone evaluating from his point of view, which will be different directions. Many ways for the communications could be the reports, daily report for the activities, or monthly report for the project achievement and the strategy, statistical analysis for the project situation, where we are for the project and how the project is performing with respect of the scope, with respect of the timing, with respect of the budget. Another communication way, have a meeting, and having a meeting, it should be very successful manners, gathering the people who are interested for the topics. So to have a successful meeting, number one, should be identifying the subject, what will be the topics and the subject discussed in the meeting. The meeting should be sending the invitation for the concerned peoples enough time ahead, allowing them to be prepared for the meeting, circulating the agenda for the meeting for the concerned people with enough time to be prepared, having an answer for the agenda. And within the meeting, try to be very specific, dedicated, stick for the agenda, unless there is some points important appears and would like to discuss. Having the minutes of the meeting and circulated for the all attendees and the persons, peoples might be interested for the topics. Having an action and recording actions conclusion for each point. If there is any action, should be defined who will be the owner for this action, and gratefully, if there is an action, confirm the timing for the action to be performed and having a result for the action. So by this way, you might have a successful meeting and the conclusion for the meeting. Another way of the communication, like photography, records, and sending photography for the situation or recording the events or something. Like in many cases right now, you can find it, taking photos within the site, constraints, sending as WhatsApp for the engineers, communicating with them, highlighting. Before it was taken with the cameras, downloading, sending by emails. Now it's easier with the technologies. Another way for the communication, to communicate between the different stakeholders, is the language we all understand. Shop drawings, we all understand the shop drawings, which will be the language and the tools explaining exactly what would be the services and the installation and the activities will be installed, what kind of details for installation, details for the sizing, etc. Having a material submittal, presenting from the contractor to the supervision consultant and the clients what will be the material will be used as a finishing, electrical, mechanical, etc. Making a sample boards for the submittals. If the contractors request the information, the formal communication way for clarification, request for information, RFI, or request for clarification, RFC. To get a clarification, asking for information, missing information in the design documents, and he need to ask about it, erasing the documents. And this one, it's the way of communication and recording the questions, the missing information, and recording the answer, how it will be. The purpose of these communications, as we said, to have all the team having the same understanding and the same directional in the same way, and it should be recorded, which will be utilized for the events, confirmation for instruction, confirmation for modifications, as a record for communication between the people, any change request, any formal instruction, any modification has been raised, claiming for a timing, claiming for a cost, etc. So this way of the communication and the documents should be recorded. Going for a very important task for us, which will be our construction schedule. And the construction schedule is a tool which giving you the control for the project starting from the beginning till the end of the project. Construction schedule, the owner for this one is the planner from the contractor, and monitored and evaluated, tracked by the client and the supervision consultant as well. Construction schedule, it's a very, very important tool to judge where we are from the project, to judge the completion of the work, and evaluating the rest of the work and the performance, how it will be achieved. It is showing the sequence of the activities based on this schedule. It is utilized for the allocation and the association for the manpowers required from the contractors, and it could be a tool for the ordering material, delivery of the material, and controlling the cash flow monthly for the project. Construction schedule, it has many forms. The simple one is the straightforward. Having the activity task and name, giving the ID and the number for each activity, identify the start date and the duration, getting the end date, and allocating the activity within the project, within the time schedule, which will give you the duration for each one, getting the deadline, for example, by 15th of January, what will be the schedule, what will be the activity, giving you the indication as of today, how many activities should be completed, how many activities will start next week, how many activities will start next month, giving you the indication and controlling, ordering the material, allocating the staff, a sequence of the work, and linking all the activities, giving you the indication where you are from the percentage of completion for the project. And it is used as work breakdown instruction to break down all the activities for the project. If you need to have a recovery plan, using the construction schedule, how to make a crushing or fast tracking or overlapping for the activities. All of this one, it is coming from the construction schedule. So the schedule, it is one of the very, very, very important tools to control the activities for the construction as a sequence of the operation and the sequence of the activities, and to know exactly what activities is working right now within the site. Having the schedule with a detailed task, with a micro breakdown for the activities, the work breakdown structure, we call it WPS. It is allowing you to relocate the resources, which are coming like resource breakdown instruction, RPS, allocating the resources to know exactly which activity currently running now on the site. From the schedule, you can see from the schedule, I have activity for the architect, activity for casting slab here, activities for electrical in this level, activity for mechanical here, activities for the landscaping, etc., etc. So you can have the control for all the activities and giving you the indication for activities working on site. Who is responsible to create the construction schedule? By default, who will be making the construction activities is a contractor. But the contractor will not be free to make the schedule alone. It should be supervised and monitored and evaluated by the supervision consultant, assuring that the contractor is allocating the right sequence of the activities, meeting the task activities and the milestone, if there is a milestone within the contracts for achievement, completion of some activities as a milestone, and there could be contractual milestones as well. All of this one, it has to be indicated and shown in the construction schedule. So the construction schedule is the tools to control and reflecting the progress of the work itself. And accordingly, from the construction schedule, it is giving you, it might be linked with the cash flow and the payments for the contractors by the activities. So giving you the indication for the materials orders, indication for the payment and the cash flow and the forecasting for the payment in the next months. All of these activities, it is coming from the construction schedule. Construction schedule could be a detailed one, and could be for a short-term schedule. If you have activity for a short-term activity, you might have a focus, enlarge the schedule to show the activity in details, how it is presented, and how to be controlled as a microcontroller for a short-term schedule, only dedicated for some activities. Like, for example, short-term schedule to have a a mock-up rooms within the construction, asking the contractor to build a mock-up areas which will be as a prototype for the activities and showing the finishes and the connection and the detailing for the fit out, detailing for the lighting, AC, etc. So this could be a short-term schedule which will be completed by the completion of the mock-up rooms and mock-up area. So you might have a short-term schedule dedicated and customized for the activities which will be start and end within a short period, not linked to the overall schedule of the project. Not everywhere you have the short-term schedule. It depends on the activities which we have it within the project. Another tools for the management to schedule the communication and the meetings with the staff. As we said, meeting, it's one of the communication tools will be utilized and will be applied within the construction team. And to have the successful meeting, it should be scheduled. A schedule for the meeting could be regularly, frequently, and it could be occasionally related to its emergency topics to be discussed. The nature of the meeting, we have it within our construction field. Number one, monthly review meeting or progress meeting. And this one, the monthly review meeting, normally it is for the senior management to have indication about the performance of the project, how it is working, and what will be the achievement. If there is any risk or constraints need to be addressed for the senior management. So this is normally it is happening for the monthly progress meetings. Another progress meeting can go in more details, and more details would be a weekly progress meeting, which will be going for a little bit more details for the progress of the project itself, having the records for all the activities of the project, for the construction, for the safety, for the authority approvals, for the shop drawing progress, for material submittals, etc., etc. So this one as a progress meeting, going more in details. Might have another kind of meeting dedicated for the activity itself, like design activity or architect meetings. So architect team, they have a separate meeting to discuss in more and more details, micro details for all activities related to the architect and the finishing and the fit out. Might have another meeting for the electrical disciplines, going more details. Another meeting for health and safety, HSE. Another meeting for quality, for the quality team, QA, QC team, from the contractor and from supervision consultant to discuss all the topics related to QA, QC in very, very details, which giving them the chance for more time. This kind of meeting could be arranged once a week or 2 times per week, depending on the activities and the number of points need to be discussed. In addition to the meeting in between, depending on the activities and the points need to be discussed. Having this kind of meeting, it's very healthy for the team and the construction. Having, because it is allowing all the concerned group and the staff having sharing the information, sharing the knowledge, sharing the concern, having the same understanding. So all of them, they are moving in the same direction within the project, not having a different directions for all. So we talk about the construction activities, we talk about the communication and the sharing the information within the staff, and talk about the schedule and how to control the activities within the schedule and meeting the project requirements to complete all the activities within the allocated time for the project. Another topic will be interested to manage the construction within the budget. If you are exceeding the budget for the project, you will never complete your project safely. Otherwise, the project will be stuck and stop the activities for the project in the middle of the project because the cash is finished. It's a game over. You cannot. So you cannot complete the project. So you should have a cost control. Cost control, talking about the progress of the payment, how you are going to make a payment for the project, for the contractors, and in which way, how you are going to measure the progress work, how to evaluate it, how to certify, and the methods of the payment. It will be monthly, it checks, how long the time it will be certified, when the contractor should be expecting to receive the money after the invoicing. And it could be the payment depending on the progress of work. If it is monthly payment against the progress of work, or could be a lump sum at the end of the activity, and it could be the payment depending on the delivery of the equipment for the site. In many cases, especially for the long lead activities and the heavy equipment, the contractor delivered the equipment to the site and getting a payment like 50% or 60% from the item as per the bill of quantity, getting a payment. Once it's tested, getting another 20% maybe, handing over and the completion, testing and the commissioning, getting the rest of the equipment. So what will be the method of the payment and the method of measurement for the progress of the work? And don't forget, when we are talking about the payments and measuring, how to certify this payment. Go back for the first slides, we talk about the inspection request and the having an inspection request and the record for the inspection and the log for all the equipments coming and arriving to the site. This will be the tools for certifying the payment coming from the contractors. Okay. As we are paying for the contractors, we should have the payments. I don't know if some of you having certificates or for the PMP or getting familiar with the cash flow. I will try to explain this one for you in an easy way. This is the S-curve, which is talking about the vertical in the cash flow against the time of the project. The solid line, it is talking about the budget at completion for the project itself, how it should be expected. The AC is the actual cost, how much he spent. So you can see here for this one, the actual cost is more than the cost for the project. So here the contractor is losing money. The earned value is much more less. So you can see here in these points, the contractor might claim for 10,000, but he spent 20,000, something like that. So this is a curve for the commercial. It is showing the performance for the project, how much you are spending and how much you are gaining as well, and giving you the indication about the percentage of completion for the activities, how it is matching with the schedule the project, and showing the cash flow, how the project could be finalized and how the project can meet the budget at the end. Another topic for the construction, the policeman, Mr. Quality Control and Quality Assurance. He is exactly like a policeman, assuring that the contractor is performing an installation and meeting the requirements, installing as per the quality, the shop drawings and the specifications, and working installation exactly as dedicated in the method statements, and applying all the test reports, and applying the test and meeting the standards requirements. Okay. With the quality assurance, it will start from delivery of the materials, certifying using the materials coming to the site, going for the construction stage, defining the project scope and how it is meeting the project requirements, and at the end, assuring that testing and commissioning and completion, all the certificates and the reports, and handing over the project to the client. So this will be the stages of the quality control and the quality assurance as a policeman. The right way for the managing the construction site to enhance and strengthen the authorities for the QA/QC staff, which will be the temper and the controller for the quality of the work. It's not good for the contractor and not good for the project. We have a big achievement, a big progress for the work, but without any control for the quality, which will be a big failure for everyone in the construction, starting from the contractor, subcontractors, suppliers, and supervision consultants at the end. So having a good achievement for the progress and ahead of the schedule, but not applying and measuring the quality for the product and the execution, it's a very bad indication, and it will not achieve anything. So the quality control should be the temper and the controller and the gate valve for you, as the consultants, as the contractors as well. The quality control, by this one, it should be in a balanced way. Doesn't go for extreme requirements and exceeding the project requirements, which will cost the contractor much more and delaying the construction activity for the time. And it should not be less than the requirements of the project as standards, as a specification, etc. It has to be in a balanced way, and it's difficult to balance it. So it has to be very well managed to put the line and identifying the limits for the acceptance and the assurance for the quality and how to be judged on time. Okay. I think we talk about the inspection of the work. We talk about the testing and supervision, and non-complying work or non-conformance. This is a strange case for the non-conformance. Every part of the team is working based on his understanding, based on his own vision, and definitely they are not meeting together. Everyone is doing a perfect work himself, but it is never meeting for the project requirements and they never end up with the project as required. Another topic and challenging for the construction, to maintain the construction environment around. Maintain the construction and keeping the environment, not affecting the environment by the pollution during the construction, from the dust pollution or the water pollution, and how to mitigate, how to protect the site, and how to maintain the construction environment friendly, doesn't affect the environment and the wild land around the project. How to maintain it, it's another area of importance for the project, to maintain the environment by maintaining pollution, dust pollution, controlling the dust during the construction, not only for the environment, but mainly for the workers around and working and the staff working within the project, to maintain a healthy environment for them. Maintaining and prevention for the water pollution, any sedimentation from the construction site, for the dewatering and water pollution during the site activities, maintain it and controlling, having the measurement for the water, discharging for the sewage network, protecting the soil around the project, not affecting and disturbing the soil and the land outside the project limits should be maintained. And it's a part of the site activities and the site security and health and safety environment activities for the project, to maintain and secure the pollution, securing the site limits, not affecting and extending the damage of the site area during the construction to extend outside project limitations. Okay? And definitely mitigation for the construction noise from the equipment and the noise, to maintain the noise level within the construction activities, not affecting the environment, and it is part of the regulations and the municipality governing the construction activities as well. Okay. Maintaining the sequence for the operational and the sequence of the construction activities, to have it in a sequence way, which will be well planned if you have a good sequence and the scheduling for the activities within the project. Okay. So we talk here about the different activities for the site construction, how to manage the construction activities and managing the construction site, what will be the tools for construction engineer, supervision, quality team, how to apply testing procedures, what will be the process for the drawings and the specification, what is the use for it, etc. And what will be the environment protections to maintain the protection and the environment safely around the project as well. I try to be a little bit focusing and short hint to give you some hints and ideas and the topics helping you during your site activities and the actual life during the construction. It doesn't cover everything related to the construction. At least it has to be covered within our courses, at least for 15 training hours at the minimum, to give you all the details about the construction site activities and how to maintain it, how to protect it, how to manage it in successful ways, what will be the ways of the reporting, way of the construction, the way and the methods for the testing and the quality, how to perform and measuring the achievement for the project commercially and the timely, etc. It's a long story. I hope today I give you a brief and hints about all of these topics one by one. And you are welcome for any questions from the participants. You are more than welcome to raise any questions you have it, and let us have the remaining 15 minutes to receiving your questions, if any. So you can unmute your phones and raising your questions, more than welcome to answer it. No questions? So it means everything is clear or nothing is clear?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Your good
Actually,
name?
I have asked a question in the comment. I will repeat it here. Is any other software other than Revit used for BIM? So you mentioned about Revit used for building information modeling. So is
Yes.
Revit the most common or any other software is used?
The most common one is the Revit. There is Autodesk and there is a Revit as well. And there is advanced packages as well for the, especially for the MEP installations. They call it fabrication MEP Revit. So this one is the most common one they are using right now. There is a different one, but I think the Revit is the most common one.
The Revit is used for electrical modeling also? Electrical installation modeling also Revit is used? Hello, can you hear me?
Your voice is breaking.
Revit is used only for civil or also for electrical modeling?
Different models can be used. It depends on the software, which one they are, the companies they are using. So it is a concept. So the BIM is not a software. The BIM is a building information map to manage the information 3D or 4D or 5D or 6D or 7D. How to use the information for the building in terms of 3D coordination for all the services, 4D if it is linked with the construction with the scale, to link and presenting how the construction it will be developed. If it is linked with the cost itself, how it will be progressed and presenting the cash flow for the building. 6D if it is linked with the so we talk about the time and the cost, and another one 6D if it is connected to the environment, to the modeling, energy modeling, and the 7D if it is connected to maintenance and operational, indicating all the maintenance operation details for the building and the equipment, making the work procedures and the work for all the building, like elevators, like pumps, like chillers, etc. Doors, how it will be maintained and tested, etc. So it is another dimension for the building. So it is a software, and it is technology and information, how to build the information for the building and make it working together. So different software could be applied.
Thank you very much for the answer, which was very clear. I have one more query. Is auto